thoughtful ideas and suggestions for guests and topics.
Great events, programs, and
All the countries are listening.
Welcome to this week's segment of Dialogue Houston. I'm your host, Lawrence Payne. To our regular viewing audience, welcome. To those joining us perhaps for the first time here for HCC's TV Dialogue Houston, we can be found now every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 a.m. and again at 6 p.m. and on Saturday afternoons at 3 p.m. As always, on top of the hour, let me thank you very much for your calls, emails, and text messages concerning previous shows we've aired here on HCC's TV, but particularly your ideas for guest topics and subjects to be covered on upcoming segments of Dialogue Houston, your community affairs, public affairs show, now thanks to you in our 25th season. We have a great show planned for you today. We're going to look at a wonderful organization in our community, a nonprofit who does great work, wonderful work. In fact, been doing it now for 30 years. This is their 30th anniversary. It is one whose name you've known, and the old name and the new name going forward, but they really are a visionary in the work they're doing. And they're encompassing so many things under that one umbrella that allows them to service both the children, the families, and the students in a very exciting way. Joining me for this wonderful segment is Helen Stagg, who is the CEO and president of Change Happens. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Glad
Good to see you.
Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
It is exciting times.
It is. It's exciting, and we are excited and thrilled to be able to bring all of our programs and services to the community. As you said, we've been doing this for 30 years, and we're growing and expanding and responding to the community and what the needs are there.
Tell us some of the programs that you'll operate.
Change Happens believes in this holistic approach. We don't think that when we meet people, when we do a lot of outreach, education, it's not just one need that they have. They present a variety of needs, and we've tried to respond to that. So we have programs that work with children in after-school settings, providing tutoring and homework assistance, field trips and speakers, and engaging and exposing them to a wide variety of different types of activities. We go into schools all over Harris County to provide evidence-based curriculum for prevention of drugs, alcohol, tobacco. We have mentoring programs. In fact, we were just awarded a grant through the Obama Foundation, one of 10 entities in the United States that will be providing mentoring for young men of color under the My Brother's Keeper concept at Yates High School that's located there in 3rd Ward. We work with young fathers who have been incarcerated, coming out of an institutional correctional facility, providing case management, connecting them with education, jobs, employment. We recently kicked off a new program where we are working with people who are low income to pay for education in terms of sending them to this campus, HCC, to get credentials in high demand job fields like welding and logistics, forklift driving. And not only will they come out of those programs having a credential to be able to work in those fields, we are connecting them and providing opportunities to connect them with employment upon completion. We have programs that work with HIV prevention and HIV treatment and linkages to care. We provide housing to people who are homeless and the supportive services that go along with that. We have programs that work with teen pregnancy prevention and case management for children with special needs and pregnant women, programs that work with case management and treatment for people who are homeless with a risk of mental illness and substance use. And we're leading an effort in 3rd Ward, Houston, composed of many stakeholders to increase affordable housing and economic redevelopment and community engagement. So Change Happens has a wide variety of programs that we offer to the community.
A wide footprint within 3rd Ward.
Yes, and we're expanding as well. In fact, in 30 counties in Texas, we are a federal navigator program for the Affordable Care Program, where we helped people to find insurance and enroll in CHIP and Medicaid. And we're only one of 10 in the country that does that work as
So
well.
it's really is a holistic approach to wraparound services for the whole family.
That's correct.
And in doing that, there are some challenges I'm sure that arise because people are not used to having the concept of we're here to work with the whole family, the children, the adults, and everyone, and make sure that whatever needs they have, we try to meet and help them do that. It has to be a challenging thing with the wonderful partnerships you have with a variety of organizations, to have everyone do their piece of the puzzle and understand clearly what their piece of the puzzle is, and probably stay in their lane so that it works in a seamless manner as you just described it.
Yeah. Well, one of the things, as you mentioned, that helps support the work is the partnerships that we've established, those collaborations, so that we're able to maximize the resources that we have, that we're not duplicating.
Right.
And forming those processes and collaborations and partnerships only strengthens the work that we do. So they're a valuable piece that enables us to be able to do all of the other things that we're doing.
What is the state of the families you work with from a poverty perspective? Because that poverty percentage and numbers have kind of waned up and down, back and forth the last few years, but there still is a solid part of our society who really needs and utilizes your services because they're still in the institutional milieu and melee, they're still stuck. And it doesn't seem to be moving the bar too much in that lower income level.
Yeah, in a lot of our programs, the income level is a lower income level. You know, the federal poverty rate for families four is about $24,500.
And that's been stuck there for a long time, too.
And it has been. And so we know that poverty contributes to people being disproportionately affected by many of the programs that we talk about, that I talked about. So they're disproportionately affected in terms of substance use and misuse, in terms of accessing health care, and in terms of food and nutrition and single parent households. All of those have an effect. And those are our target populations that we're working with on all of our programs.
It seems that the poverty level and that 24.5 number that's been there for years, seems that we focus this institutionalized kind of, we understand the needs of these individuals and families, we really care about these communities, but when you talk about the institutionalized response to many of these things, some would say it's due to systematic racism, some would say it's institutional racism, some would say it's just neglect and non-caring. I don't think that's really the case. I think the case seems to be more and more that unless organizations like yours that does such a great job help all the other entities focus on the needs, understand why the needs are there, and figure out what their little role that they each can play, I think that's very important in helping them be educated as to what they actually can do.
I agree. You know, our mission statement is to empower people to help themselves. So our programs are designed to do that, to provide them with tools of education, empowerment, to believe in themselves, their potential, what they can do, and to give them the tools to help support that and point the way so that they can make those decisions and take right action to make a difference and change in their own lives. And that's what we are trying to do with all of our programs.
Well, I've been able over the years to see some of the parents and students that you've worked with, to see the change in their lives, to see the change in their grade performance, to see the change in their outlook for life, having a bigger picture of what's possible for them in their own future. And I think that's very important that you mentioned that part about empowerment. And the classic definition of empowerment is to be able to do, to be able to act, to be able to learn, to be able to do whatever. Yeah. And that sense of empowerment becomes such an intricate part of today's society and fabric, because we are still in our little conclaves and boxes and silos. You know, I'm always interested when I say Third Ward and this whole area and historical Third Ward and all that has happened throughout the history of Houston when it comes to Third Ward. A lot of people have still never heard Third Ward, don't know where it is, couldn't find it if their life depended on it. We are in Dr. Stephen Kleinberg's Houston and his demographics, as you know. Yes, we're the most ethnically, racially diverse city in America. We're also the most gated community city in America. So we live in these kind of separate parts of Houston that many individuals never see, never experience. You've been great, and the organization's been great to kind of reach across those barriers, to reach across those artificial lines and bring people into the work to understand through your partnerships and collaboration, to understand not only the work, but to understand, to get to know the human being that they're hoping to serve as a human being.
Right. So, there are many forces that impact people and how they are affected by issues. And so part of our role also is to inform the community at large about the kinds of challenges and barriers and things that play a role in society that impacts people, and working for policies that help advocate to remove some of those barriers. Even within Third Ward itself, there is you can see the differences in income.
Yes.
There is a pocket of poverty that is below the federal poverty level that may exist alongside
side by
the
side.
things that are happening in terms of the changing of the neighborhood and displacing residents. So, bringing all of those issues and working together, not only to provide services, but also to be a voice and to advocate for people and policies that will really make a difference in their lives.
That's a good part, a good place to take a little pause and break, and we'll come right back, because you hit on a very important piece. To really achieve some of the change we're looking at, it ends up being a question of policy, it ends up being a question of public policy. To be a strong advocate, to be able to influence public policy, you have to have the knowledge base of the issues. You have to understand the facts. You have to understand all the intricate parts of what you're trying to advocate for to change the public policy. It is that whole educational process that we do also, that you mentioned, that's so important. It's beyond that teachable moment, because once you have the teachable moment, now you have to do something with it. You now have the knowledge information, so what are you going to do with it? So the change happen part is the important part, the empowerment, to be able to make the change, to have the knowledge to do so. We're going to take a small pause and break. We'll come back and pick up where we left off.
HCC. So many reasons, so little tuition. Register today at hccs.edu/now.
When I was growing up, my mom was extremely tidy. We were trained to put things back where we got them from. One day, when I walked into my mom's house, I felt like I walked to someone else's house. There was stuff everywhere. And just growing up the way I grew up, and to see this transition was very alarming.
When Sean talked to me, it was a wake-up call, and that's when I went to the doctor.
HCC's online college is officially open. This not only means online classes, but also online degrees and certificates. You can now credential up anytime, anywhere. Join the fast-growing number of students getting their full college education from anywhere they use a laptop. HCC currently offers 32 fully online degrees and will offer 71 next year. You no longer have to find a way or time to get to college. HCC brings college to you.
HCC. So many locations. So little tuition. Register today at hccs.edu/now.
If you're with us for the first part of the show, we're having a fascinating conversation with Change Happens with their CEO and president, Helen Stagg, who is celebrating their 30th anniversary. I can't believe I can actually remember when it got started, but as time goes by. 30th anniversary coming up. We have a great year of stuff planned for that 30th anniversary. We're going to tell you about that in a little bit. But you know, a wonderful organization like Change Happens, who's doing such a great job, as you heard in the first part of the show, in serving families and communities and children, it really becomes something to think about the longevity of the organization. The 30th anniversary is a great milestone, a good benchmark to think about going forward. One of the reference points we use here on Dialogue Houston a lot is in 17 short years from now, 2019, in 2036, the City of Houston will be 200 years old. We'll celebrate our bicentennial. Change Happens will be celebrating their 67th anniversary on the way to their 70th anniversary. The question we always ask everybody is, Houston has to think long-term, have a vision for that future. We always talk about what is your number one aspirational goal for Houston by 2036, and it fits in with the questions we keep asking that you have really articulated so well in the first half of the show. It's really about human beings caring for and about other human beings. This is not complex. This is not brain surgery. It's very simple. If you want to do it and you want to get it, we can help you get it and understand. But if you don't want to get it, not much can be done. But hopefully as we go forward, some of those barriers will fall by the wayside and we'll have more human beings in service to other human beings. Third anniversary talks about the past, but it also talks about the future. So tell us about this wonderful anniversary and the future.
Well, as you said, our 30th year anniversary, we're in the midst of celebrating it now.
All right.
You know, it's not all nonprofit organizations are able to last
That's true.
lifetime.
We've seen many in Houston come and go in that time period.
We have been very blessed and we're very grateful to still be here, still working, to still be strong in our foundation and to be looking forward to the future. I think it's what you just said. It's about caring for other people. And our vision is to always enrich the lives of others. You know, we would hope that HIV is gone, that people don't live in poverty in 30 years, that we have, everybody has health insurance. So we're responding and want to be able to respond to what are the needs of people and to be able to enrich their lives in the next few years. And so we're building to continue to build the foundation to be able to do that.
And part of doing that, to enrich lives, to build that foundation, is to really be clear and honest about what the issues are and not back away from them. Be bold in articulating what those challenges and issues are. That our society in some ways is stepping backwards. You know, I told somebody the other day, I feel like it's 1968 in some ways all over again. You know, just because of the climate that we're in, that we're living in. So to be able to address those issues, to be vocal and verbal and very articulate about them and put them out there and not run away from them is something you've always done through Change Happens, but probably going to need to even do more in the future. And so sometimes when you have a speaker that comes into town that can help frame some of that larger issues in context, becomes a very important piece to the future.
That's right. You know, part of our work, as I was saying, is about advocacy, about truth, because change happens. The integrity of our organization is to be able to stand in truth and to bring facts and information based on facts and information. So we want to do that in a variety of ways. And in fact, one of our speakers that are coming up that we'll talk about talks about some of those hard issues. And we want to be at the forefront of leading a dialogue in this community and in the national community about issues that are facing families and all of us. Because what happens doesn't just impact a person living in Third Ward. It has wide-ranging impacts on the whole country and the city and the world for that matter.
So who's coming and when?
So we are fortunate to have Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, who is a leading spokesman, thought-provoking leader in dialogue, who will be here on September the 26th to lead a dialogue on racism and redemption.
And those of you who have heard him, and if you've not have heard him, you need to go ahead and just Google him and pull him up on YouTube. He makes you think. He challenges you. He has one of the sayings that I love that he has is that everybody's entitled to their own opinion, perspective, and viewpoint, but not their own fact. And so the fact becomes very important because that's the truth. The fact allows us to talk about the values that we hold dear and that we want to uphold and upheld in society, be upheld in society. He really is one of those thought leaders that make you really think.
Yes.
And that's what we really hope will happen that night. It is September 26th from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Sawyer Auditorium, Texas Southern University. You can go online to Change Happens and look it up and get the details. We hope to see you there. It's going to be a wonderful, stimulating evening.
Yes, it promises to be. If you've heard him speak, you know that he is engaging, his dialogue, and it's thought-provoking, but it's also uniting, and it's built on a foundation of truth. And if we are to solve problems, truth has to be the foundation to do that.
And as the saying goes, he keeps it real.
Yeah.
Because the truth is real, the truth will set you free. And if you're not speaking the truth, and you're not speaking in truth, and you're not speaking about and of the truth, then why are we even bothering doing what we do, right?
That's right.
So I think it becomes an important kind of groundedness in the work to have this kind of intellectual stimulation he's an academician, but he's also a really down-to-earth person because he has been involved in enough things in this country, including government on all levels, to understand why things are not happening and why they are the way they are.
That's right.
And you're back to your point of advocacy. And the only thing that's going to change a lot of this stuff is advocacy and public policy.
Right. Yeah, and so he can bring that light and get us to thinking about that. And so much of what we see happening in the country today are around issues of race. And so recognizing that and then not being afraid to have the conversation about it, but then also uniting to redeem that and to move forward and really make a difference.
Because I think if we don't have these kind of critical conversations going forward, we're just kind of playing around the edges and not willing to get our feet muddied or dirty and get into the mix of it. You have to get into the mix. Why things haven't happened and changed too much over the years? Because we haven't been willing to get into the mix and milieu of really doing what we need to do, doing our own work.
Right.
Right? Nobody's going to do it for us. Nobody's going to register for us. Nobody's going to vote for us. Nobody's going to go down and talk in front of the microphone when we need speakers. We have to cultivate people who are willing to go do that.
That's correct. And that's that's how Change Happens sees one of our roles, is to advocate for that, to empower people and to educate and make that happen.
And next in our wonderful year of 30th anniversary celebration, we have our wonderful event in November.
Yeah,
Tell
we
us
will
about
be
that. Which,
celebrating.
by the way, we're talking about it now, but it's not that far away. The fall goes very quickly.
That's true. It'll be here really quickly. And we have an annual fall luncheon. And so this year we'll be celebrating our fall luncheon, but we have some special events planned. Susan Taylor, who's readily recognized, founder and editor at Essence Magazine, but who's also done a lot of work in mentoring.
Yes, she has.
It's going to be our guest and our guest speaker. We are also presenting our Making Change Happens Hero Award to one of our local leaders here in the community, Dr. Elwin Lee, who's at University of Houston, who's been a big supporter of Change Happens for many years. So we have a Courtney Smith, who will be, who's a recording artist, who will be doing some entertainment. And we have a local high school, a group of girls from the Young Women's Academy, who will be performing as well. So it promises to be a wonderful event.
Yep. And that's again November 1st, 11:30 to 1:30 at the Junior League?
It's at the
Junior League of Houston on Briar Oaks. Let's turn the little time we have left to really, what do you see, kind of put your gaze ball on, your future ball on. Where do you see some of this work going in the future here in Houston? We have a lot of nonprofits. Some say we have too many nonprofits. And the pool of money to support the work of all the great nonprofits going forward is one that maybe we need to start looking at. How do we really figure out who's doing what, where, and when? Because I think because Change Happens now has such a great track record, they're able to back up what they've done with facts and statistics and data and research to show that it works. And I think it may be time to look at those organizations like Chain that really works and have the backup to prove it, to begin to say, look, these are organizations you need to support because they have the empirical data to show that they're doing. They have the longevities, the longitudinal studies to be able to prove what they're doing. And I think that becomes so important going forward.
I think so. And one of the things I think you'll find nonprofit organizations doing is that they will begin to do a more internal look and exploration of their own sustainability. And that may lead to new models of how you do that. You know, one of the things that we try to do is to not only collaborate, but also to provide opportunities for funding subcontracts or those kind of mechanisms to bring other nonprofits in and to provide services. So I think you'll see more looking at that, more discussions. You may even see more mergers or ways that nonprofits will come together to pool resources and maximize their potential. And I think that's one of the ways that funding sources are trying to encourage that type of collaboration and working together.
Because it is about stability for the long haul, is it not?
Yes, it is.
And unless you have the vision and the plan to make that happen, you gotta figure out how to change some of the things we're doing going forward.
That's right.
All right, we're out of time, believe it or not. Again, this
That
has
was
been
fast.
fun. It goes quickly.
Yeah.
So glad to have you join us. Again, we want everybody to come and be part of the conversation with Michael Eric Dyson. That is on September 26th, 6 to 9 at Sawyer Auditorium, Texas Southern University. On the website that was on the screen, you can look up Change Happens and continue to grow and develop with them and support them. This little guy here will be the MC that night, so I'll see y'all there. Look forward to being part of that. Let me just close this way. I referenced 2036 earlier in the show, 2036, our bicentennial, our 200th anniversary of the city of Houston going forward. And I mentioned that we've been asking this question, a lot of Houstonians. What is your number one aspirational goal for Houston by 2036? What is your number one aspirational goal for Houston for 2036? That's kind of an easy question for some, hard for others because they haven't really thought about it. There's a second part of the question. And how would you be acting and behaving today if you really want to see that happen by 2036? The second question that has to be explored, which I'm going to not have enough time to talk about right now, what is the fair and ethical treatment of all human beings in our society? What is the fair and ethical treatment of all human beings? Got to ponder that a little bit because that's an ethical question. It's not as easy to answer as you think. The second two things that go with that is after you've answered that question, all human beings' lives matter, all human beings are equal. That's where we're headed. That's the future. The wrestling with, the articulation, and the clarity of those three issues, which are value questions with the ethical questions we got to dive into. Got to go for now. We look forward to you joining us for future segments of Dialogue Houston. Until then, as always, peace, power, and love.